I was able to turn it into a six-figure career in a matter of just 2.5 years. And I felt like it was life-changing for me.
That's one of the biggest challenges entrepreneurs face is like, why can somebody go work 8 hours a day for somebody else, but when it's time for them to go start their own business, they're only working 1 or 2 hours? I work with an accountability coach, and we set our goals for the coming week. We review the goals that I had set the previous week. Just having that accountability coach in place has really made my productivity skyrocket.
Just like how I say with the coaching, you'll probably learn more in the matter of a month on the job than you would in like a college in probably a year.
Yeah. A task will swell in the amount of time that you allow to perform that task. So if you give yourself 1 year to perform a task, it'll take you a full year to perform that task. If you give yourself 1 week to perform that task, you will perform that task in 1 week.
I've seen literally websites where businesses didn't have these things in place, and just doing the on-page SEO, we've been able to take businesses from like not even being in the top 100 searches on Google to literally jumping to like page 2 or 3.
At the end of the day, you have to start executing and actually doing these things. And until you actually start trying it yourself, the expression goes, you can't learn to drive with the car parked in the garage.
Just figure out ways to service people first before you ask something. It always comes back like 2, 3, 4.
Welcome back to another episode of the A-Lister Show. As you know, on the A-Lister Show, we bring on movers and shakers, people doing interesting things. And today we have a special guest. We have Dexter Blanco, who's in the technical industry, IT. And we're going to learn about his story, what he's up to, how he got into it, and so much more. So without further ado, how you doing today, Dexter?
I'm doing good, fam.
Cool.
Doing
Good.
Nice to meet you, dude.
By the way, I love the name.
Yeah.
I love the name. Obviously, I'm a millennial, so I grew up with Dexter.
Wait, which one? The
Dexter's Lab.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I used to always want to be like Dexter when I grew up.
Yeah.
I have sisters that terrorize me, so I always related to it. Did you watch Dexter growing up?
Yeah, that was at the time when I was watching it, I didn't think like, I didn't have that much affinity and connection, but
And plus you ended up getting into like the tech industry too, so it's kind of like you got like the a couple of connections there. Yeah. So tell us about what you do.
Yeah, so I'm a systems administrator by trade, and that's primarily what I've done throughout my career. Is I've worked in information technology, working in help desk roles, service desk roles, desktop support, PC repair, worked in data centers. But now what I'm mostly focused on is I run a digital marketing agency. So we specialize in search engine optimization. We also run paid ads, we build websites, and we grow businesses. Also, I'm a coach. I'm a tech career coach, so I help people that are new coming into the industry actually break into the industry, get introduced to technology, level up their skills, and ultimately get into the high-paying roles.
Okay.
Because I feel like for me, there wasn't a lot of people when I was coming into the industry. Oh, yep. I feel like when I was coming into the industry, there wasn't a lot of kind of people that looked like me that I can kind of look up to. And so for me, I know technology can be life-changing for me, because for me it has been. I mean, I went from being a little backstory for me. I was a kid that pretty much I struggled getting out of high school. When coming into my senior year of high school, I think you need like 240 credits to graduate high school out here, and I think I came into my senior year and I had like 120. I was probably like halfway.
Wow. Yeah, that's
pretty behind. Yeah, I was like, I was sure I wasn't going to graduate in time, but through the grace of just having a lot of good people around me, I ended up catching up a bunch of credits. I ended up graduating on time, so I barely made it out of high school. And then just like kind of going through that experience and thinking back on my past, and you got me really thinking back. It's like coming from a kid that like is barely graduating high school to then kind of struggling through and just switching up jobs to kind of figuring out what my passion is, actually information technology. And and then getting into the industry, I started off at a entry level job where I was only making about like $12 an hour. But I knew that was kind of my end. I was all like, shit, I don't really care how much I'm making. I just wanted to kind of get my foot in the door. And for me, I knew that like once I get my foot in the door, it was game over from there. And I still struggled though, kind of figuring out like what I was most interested in, or figuring out what was the path that I needed to go down. But I was able to turn it into a 6-figure career in a matter of just, I think about less than about 2.5 years. I turned that into a 6-figure career, and I felt like it was life changing for me. So it's just kind of quick backstory. Yeah. That's why I think it's important, like for everybody else that is like thinking about tech, like it's where it's at.
Yeah, yeah.
It's where it's at.
So what was that first 6-figure job that you got?
Yeah.
What was that?
I was a systems administrator.
Okay, so what is it? What do they do?
Yeah, so a systems administrator, they're responsible for the installation, setup, the maintenance, overall monitoring, alerting, mostly all the back end systems that go on into most businesses and most corporations. Systems administrators usually have a little bit more responsibility than someone that maybe work at like a help desk, service desk role, but yeah, that's primarily what a systems administrator
So how did you get that first 6-figure role? How did you go from making $12 an hour to your first 6-figure role?
Yeah. So when I was making $12 an hour, I was at a managed service provider. It was a smaller mom and pop company. MSPs are, what they do is they manage multiple other businesses' IT infrastructure. And then, so we had a client base of over like 180 different businesses that we managed. And I guess the benefit of starting at a place like that is you get to touch a lot of different technology stacks, right? You're not just stuck at one company working on one set of technology. You're working in different environments, so it's very fast paced. So you really get to learn a lot of different things. And just being in that role, I already kind of knew when I was coming into the industry, I wanted to be a systems administrator. Like I seen what they did even prior to getting into that first role, and I was all like, okay, that's what I'm gonna eventually do. Like, if I'm not gonna start there, like that's where I'm gonna go. So early on, I was always working. So I have what's called a home lab. And
Dexter, Dexter, I know. I know.
He said, "I know." Come on, man.
Yeah, it's behind your closet. I know.
Yeah, oh, the fucking door comes up.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I have like a home lab environment, and I think like for anybody out there that's like starting out in IT, I think it's something that could be a game changer for a lot of people, especially if you don't have potentially like the money to invest in like a traditional education. You're just looking for a way to get into the industry and get experience, build out a home lab, because that was the one thing that really set me apart, I believe, from a lot of people coming into the industry at the time. And to this day, I mean, I've done a lot of interviews, and usually the people that have done work in their own house and they have like a home lab, they're looked at differently.
What is a home lab exactly?
Yeah. So a home lab is essentially a set of computers or a small environment. It could just be one computer that you use to implement. Most of the time, people are using it to learn corporate level or enterprise level technologies, but in their house. So they can get the practice, they can get the experience, and actually know what it's like to actually what you're going to do on the job. But you're doing it in your house. Because a lot of times you get into these sometimes entry-level roles, you don't have access to certain systems, and you don't have access to those systems until you get experience and or you have maybe a certain level of education. But if you could do these things in your house, that is, you show up different.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah, it gives you the opportunity to have some practical level experience before you actually can step into those roles. Is that right?
100%.
Yeah, cool.
100%.
So someone just kind of starting out looking to get into a tech role, kind of make their first 6-figure job, what kind of advice do you have for that person on how to make that happen?
Yeah. I would say focus on building good foundational skills. That's first and foremost. Definitely want to get all your foundational skills. Understand what hardware is. Understand networking. Understand different applications. But really focus on experience. That's what it comes down to. If you can put together a good portfolio that proves that you have a certain level of experience, again, you're going to come into the industry different. Because there's a lot of people that are coming out of college. There are a lot of people that are maybe coming out of trade schools that they have a lot of they have a lot of book smarts. They have a lot of like on paper knowledge, but they've never done it.
Yeah.
And then they get into a role and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
it's
It's different when a lot of times the book smarts, like the way they learn things in school, and then you go to actual company and it may be different.
Yeah.
So having that experience is hard. I think one challenge a lot of people have is how do you get experience without a job?
Catch 22.
Right, exactly. But I guess that's kind of where maybe a home lab comes into play.
100%.
Maybe finding opportunities in your current role to kind of dip your toes in some of the other areas. Does that sound right?
Yeah. You'll learn by building out your own home lab. You'll probably learn more in a matter of a couple weeks than what you would probably learn in a couple months, like probably like 3-4 months, or even 6 months in a college.
Yeah.
Because when you're under the gun and you got to like just do it. And here's another little tip for anybody that might take this information and go build their own home lab. Put pressure on yourself. Set up your own house's Wi-Fi in that home lab. Because when the shit goes down, you're going to figure out how to get it like working.
Yeah, definitely.
And that is something that'll, because it's like that in the real world, right? There's real pressure. There's managers. There's people that depend on you. There's enterprise systems, and when a business's infrastructure is depending on it, and same thing with you. If you're like, your mom's yelling at you, or your family's yelling at you because the internet's down, you're gonna feel a similar level of pressure.
Yeah.
So
I think that's really with anything in life. If you're just operating in an asylum by yourself, then you are completely relying on self-discipline. But if you can find a way to input external forces on yourself, even if it's just in an artificial way, then you can have magnitudes more productivity. And it's even the same way. That's one of the biggest challenges entrepreneurs face is if I'm working by myself and nobody really knows whether or not I am doing a certain thing or whether I'm completing the deadlines I set for myself. It makes a big impact. Like, why can somebody go work 8 hours a day for somebody else, but when it's time for them to go start their own business, they're only working 1 or 2 hours? It's because the external forces, the exterior forces. Right? And those exterior forces are so important in all different aspects of life. I think about, let's say that you're trying to quit smoking cigarettes and there's a pack of cigarettes in your living room. I don't care how much self-determination you have, you're going to go smoke those cigarettes. But let's say that you are in a desert someplace, hypothetically speaking, and there's no cigarettes anywhere around. Well, you're not going to smoke a cigarette because it's physically impossible. Right? So 100%. The environment that we put ourselves are so important on our outcomes.
This is
something like that.
This is hidden right now because I'm interesting. I'm reading a book right now, Atomic Habits.
James Clear.
Clear. Yeah.
Very good. That's where I got that analogy.
He hits on all these points. And I'm thinking about it, and it's just hitting right now. I think I'm on like chapter 7 or 8 right now.
Is there anything else that stood out to you from that book?
I think just the creation of habits. I'm about chapter 8 in. I think it's about 1/3 way, and mostly the creation of habits, how you form them. Just like how you're saying, it's like shaping your environment in a way that will allow you to be that'll kind of force you to do it, and it'll make you kind of conducive to doing it. I love that analogy. It's like if you're in a desert, like you ain't got no option.
So, and that's where a big part of coaching comes into play too, because it's one more way that you can enforce an external force on you. I work with an accountability coach. So every Friday I meet with this accountability coach and we set our goals for the coming week. We review the goals that I had set the previous week. We talk about why they're important. And just having that accountability and coach in place has really made my productivity skyrocket.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing is, a lot of times, because I'm a procrastinator by nature, I'll find myself...
I think we all are a little bit.
We all have that in us.
Yeah.
And I find that we meet on Friday morning, and a lot of times I wait until Thursday night to get the tasks done, you know? But at the end of the day, I still get the task done by the deadline, which is the most important thing. Mm-hmm. Which is brings you to another concept that I learned from Tim Ferriss. You know who Tim Ferriss is?
Heard of him.
4-Hour Work Week.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Big podcaster guy.
Yep.
Some people call him like the grandfather of podcasting. Awesome guy, super great person to learn from. He mentioned that a task will swell in the amount of time that you allow to perform that task. Mm-hmm. So if you give yourself 1 year to perform a task, it'll take you a full year to perform that task. If you give yourself 1 week to perform that task, you will perform that task in 1 week.
Yeah.
And so it's one more way where you can exert exterior force onto yourself to become a better person.
Yeah.
By having those deadlines. I mean, you just think back to high school and college where you have a homework due and it's like, okay, you maybe like dabble in it, but most of the work gets done the night before. I mean, that's just how I am. Maybe not everybody is, but I think a lot of people could relate to that.
100%. Yeah. And that's what I experienced in my experiences of like having coaches, having mentors is like, it's game changer. Yeah. Especially if you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, and you're going down that path. Because like you say, if you're working in a siloed environment by yourself at home, I've experienced this myself as well. Sometimes you won't keep yourself accountable. There's so many other exterior things going on, and if you don't kind of shape your environment or shape the processes and systems that you operate off of to kind of get you back in alignment, it's easy to fall out of that as the owner. Absolutely. Because you own the organization. You are the final say. You are the thing that everybody else counts on. And I guess that's why companies have boards, right? Yeah. And some of the large organizations they have board of trustees. And coaching is, I feel like for a lot of maybe upcoming entrepreneurs, is like that is the shortcut. Yeah, there's a shortcut. Like obviously, most of us that are small entrepreneurs, we don't have boards, we don't have all that stuff. But if you can get a coach, if you can get a mentor, if you can get these other things, like game changer. Yeah, game changer.
Did you go to college?
No. Never stepped a foot on a campus. Wow. Ever.
But still, you were able to acquire the job skills that allow you to get a 6-figure career. Yeah, and beyond. Did most of that skill that you acquired come from working in the field, or did you have to go out and acquire some of those skills in exterior sources like, YouTube coaching, or courses or coaching, things like that?
I would say definitely a little bit of both. Starting out, definitely at the beginning, it was a lot of my own information that I had to accumulate, YouTube, reading books, studying in my own home lab. But then definitely when you get into the industry and you're in a position, just like how I say with the coaching, you'll probably learn more in the matter of a month on the job than you would in like a college in probably a year. Yeah. Because then it's game time. It's rapid fire. Like you're in the game. You're doing the thing, and you're gonna learn fast. Especially depending if you're an MSP. Like I was saying earlier, you're gonna get thrown right in the fire. Yeah.
Well, a lot of things are like that. When we talk about, you can learn by acquiring information, but at the end of the day, you have to start executing and actually doing these things. And until you actually start trying it yourself, the expression goes, you can't learn to drive with the car parked in the garage.
Facts.
Yeah.
Big facts.
So, and then you also have this other thing where you're doing business marketing as well, right? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I run a digital agency, Your Essential Techs, and interestingly enough, I started this business when I actually first became a systems administrator back in 2021. I kind of knew that I wanted to go down the entrepreneurial path, even kind of early on in my tech career. And when I became a systems administrator, things just got very vivid for me. I was able to have access to a lot of back-end systems. I had access to servers. I had access to enterprise level systems, and I just seen everything and how the business operated from the back end. And I was all like, oh, I was like, I kind of feel like I know too much now in a way. I was like, and I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I was just like, okay, I got to start something, even if it's just a little side hustle, if it's something that I'm doing that, I can start learning and start making some money on the side. That's how it started out. My business actually started out as a web hosting company where we were just planning on doing website hosting and helping businesses with hosting their websites on servers, because my background's in systems administration. I was taking care of servers. I was already taking care of websites at my corporate job. So it was all like, why not do that? But quickly on, I started learning more about operations and started learning more about a little bit more about marketing, how people turn or how businesses actually made money besides just the back end infrastructure. And then that made me very curious. And I was just like, okay, well, how do I figure out how to serve these businesses more than just take care of their websites and take care of their servers? How do I provide more value to them? Because we all know when you provide more value, you make more money.
That's right. Yes, sir.
So I was like, okay, let's figure out this marketing thing, and let's go all in. And then that's when I discovered SEO. And once I figured out what SEO was, I was all like, all right, I got to get good at this. Like, I got to get really, really good. And that's what I did. I really started investing myself, started investing in different programs. I actually had a SEO kind of mentor, coach, and he's the one that actually helped me acquire some of my first clients, helped me get my digital marketing agency to making roughly about $3,000 to $4,000 a month. And once I seen the potential of that, I was all like, oh wow, like I'm gonna start learning a little bit more about this marketing thing. And I'm gonna start going in harder on it. And then ultimately, started learning about Facebook ads, started learning about organic marketing, started learning a little bit more about, and it's interesting because I was doing all these things for businesses, right? Spending a lot of time doing everything for businesses, but interestingly enough, I was more so the guy that was wanted to be behind the scenes, kind of coming from a tech background, coming from it's just my personality type. I was just kind of like the guy that wanted to be behind the scenes, and I was like, yeah, I'll let you guys help you with your business marketing.
Yeah.
But then I really started realizing more like, okay, well, if I'm going to acquire more customers and I'm going to get bigger in the industry and I'm going to start figuring more things out, I got to start doing this for myself. I got to start putting myself out there. I got to start being okay with being on camera and doing some of the things that bigger businesses do. And that's when it really started transitioning into like an actual business. Probably about a year and a half into that. That's when it really started turning into an actual business.
Okay. So what kind of services now do you offer in your agency?
Yeah.
So SEO, do you still do web hosting, or what else do you do?
Yeah, we do web hosting. We do SEO. We do a little bit of everything now. We have in-house copywriters. We do social media marketing, organic, paid ads through Google, all social media platforms, Instagram or Meta, TikTok, UI, UX. We're a full service agency now.
Okay. Okay. What are some mistakes that you see that business owners are making, or what are some areas of opportunity that different business owners can take advantage of when they're trying to market their business and grow?
Yeah. I feel like a lot of times to be honest, it's the basics. Having owners this is a big one. I say having owners just simply being okay with showing their face, potentially on their website. We've seen businesses literally running some small SEO campaigns, building them a website, putting the business owner's face out there when they never showed their face before. Like literally double, triple, quadruple their sales and the amount of revenue that they're making.
That's a big one because a lot of times these websites, they'll be like WordPress copies and then they just kind of put stock photos on there, right? How many times have you seen that? All the time.
90% of websites on the internet suck.
Yeah. And once you start introducing your personality and, you know, actually who you are, and you put your face on there, you put your employees' faces on there, you put actual work, you know, your own work on there. I mean, it just builds so much trust, and that makes all the difference. You know, if you're going to spend money on advertising, Google ads, or even if you're going to invest in like an SEO company, you want to make sure that you're giving yourself every opportunity to convert when you actually get a visitor on that website.
100%. Yeah, you driving traffic to a website with a bunch of stock images can be...
Why? Why do that? Yeah.
Might make some more sales, but build that relationship on the site and, you know, watch your numbers soar.
Yeah. How else can people improve the SEO of their websites?
SEO. We tell people to start with the basics. Get all your... Obviously, you want to figure out what keywords are best for your industry. Figure out what the most competitive overarching keyword it is for your specific niche and your specific area. We focus on a lot of local SEO in my agency. We really don't take on much national campaigns because local is really beneficial for most local businesses. I mean, they don't... If you're brick and mortar, you don't need to get attention.
You're a nationwide presence.
Right. I always tell people focus on getting those local keywords down. And then really just do the basics. Get your on-page SEO on point. So on-page SEO means everything that you visually actually see on the website, your headlines, your meta title, meta tags. Meta titles are what you'll see kind of inside of the bookmark bar at the top. That's usually the meta title, and then there's a meta description. That's the description that you'll see when you make a search on Google. You usually see that top bar. That's the meta title, and then you'll see that little description below it, and that's the meta description. Get those on point, get those optimized for your local keywords. That's probably one of the most important things. And then on the actual website, the header tags that you have H1 tags, you have H2 tags, H3s. And you want to make sure that those are on point and matching with your keywords that are in your meta title, meta description. And then those are the main things. I've seen literally websites where businesses didn't have these things in place, and just doing the on-page SEO, we've been able to take businesses from like not even being in the top 100 searches on Google to literally jumping to like page 2 or 3 just by doing the on-page SEO. This goes back to the point where I think I was saying earlier, like 90% of the websites on the internet suck. Yeah. Because most people, when they first throw up a website, they kind of keep everything stock. They don't even go into the meta title, meta description, then change those things. If they just change those simple things, like they can be on like page 2 or 3. Yeah. And be outranking all those other businesses. Yeah. So I think definitely if you have a website, do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So how does that translate into more purchases? Like, do you see, like, what kind of results do you end up seeing when you start putting some of these stuff into place?
Yeah. It could be game changer for most local services businesses. A business on page 2 or 3 of Google for the most competitive overarching keyword, and maybe potentially hundreds of other keywords that are relevant to that, is going to get significantly less traffic than a business that's on page 1 and say position 3 or 4, or especially if you're in position 1, it's kind of game over at that point. You will have leads forever if you can make it to page 1 for your most competitive overarching keyword. And that's what I always tell businesses, is like focus on that keyword, that most competitive, the one that has the most search value for your local terms. We've literally seen businesses triple, quadruple, 10x revenue
Wow.
by getting to position one. And I'm not kidding. Like I've seen businesses go from making $50,000 a year to becoming $500,000 a year businesses, $1 million businesses that were doing, or businesses that were only potentially doing $80,000 a year. Now they're doing $800,000 a year. Sky's the limit with SEO, if you're doing it right.
Yeah.
It was.
What are some of the less known?
And that you have the other systems in place as well.
Right.
Because it's not just getting traffic, but you got to know how to convert that traffic into actual money.
That's a big one, right? I mean, you can have all the visitors in the world, but if they're not actually, converting, then what's the point? Yeah.
Got to work with the right businesses.
Yeah. So what are some of the less known things that people haven't heard about? I am not big in SEO, but I've heard things like backlinks and stuff like that. What are backlinks, and do they help as well?
Absolutely. Backlinks are probably one of the... So let's go back a little bit in history and SEO. Google, that was one of Google's original primary metrics that they ranked websites on is how many backlinks you had. So back in the days, what a lot of people would do is they would try to get all these different websites to link back to their website, meaning like they would have a website, they'd go to another company and they'd be like, hey, would you mind like maybe writing up an article about our organization on your blog so that we can get a link, which just means like when they click on it on their website, it takes you to the business's website. And that's a backlink. It's a simple backlink. And the more of those that you got, the more trust you would have with Google, and the more your website would move up the rankings. Backlinks are still one of the biggest ranking factors, though, to this date. We're talking back in 2000 when Google was kind of first in its inception. But still, to this date, backlinks are still super important. It's just now Google looks at them more intelligently. The quality of the backlink, how much trust factor does that business have? And then how much does that link then links back to yours? How much SEO, quote unquote, SEO juice it gives back to your website? And so backlinks are super, super important. And not all backlinks are created equal. Like, let's say I was to get a backlink from, give you a lot on here. Little secret sauce. Let's say I was to get a backlink from, I don't know, CNN or some major newscast. Their website has a lot of trust. They've been around for a while.
Yeah.
You're going to gain a lot of trust from that backlink compared to, like, let's say a new website that was just launched a year ago and you get a backlink from them. So
sure, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay. So, where are you looking to take your business? Like, what are some of your business goals that you're looking to get into?
Yeah. I'm at a point now where I really want to focus on helping other people, and I've been mostly focused on that. The SEO agency, we still acquire clients, we still get new business in there, but I want to show other people as well how to do some of the things that I've done in my career and in my life, because I know that I really didn't have a lot of opportunities, and I feel like I figured out a lot of information relatively fast in the last couple of years, and I know that ultimately the more people I help anyways, the more my organization is going to grow, and the more we grow. It's because it's this reciprocating thing. It's like when you go out and you actually just figure out ways to service people first before you ask something. It always comes back like 2, 3, 4, like fold.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm focused more on my coaching business, where I'm teaching other people how to break into the industry, because I feel like that's where it starts. Getting the awareness, because there's a lot of people that don't even have awareness of information technology, what it is. A lot of people think it's hard. Like they think like, oh, well, I've never been to school for that. That's for smart people only. You need a degree. And just even opening up the awareness to people that, hey, look, you don't always have to be in a technical role as well. There are jobs in information technology where you might not even be doing anything technical, and you're just kind of, there's project management jobs, there's sales roles, there are leadership roles. There's so many other avenues that you can go with it. And I believe just having a level of awareness of what the industry is can be life changing for people. Because I've seen people come in and they're like, same thing. They're like, I didn't know about tech about a year and a half ago, and like, 2 years later, a year later, they're like living a different life.
Yeah, absolutely. My wife was somebody that broke into the tech industry, and she didn't come from a technical background. She went to college, but it was in Brazil, a different country.
Nice.
And so when she came here, her prospects were, okay, I can become a waitress. I can become these like lower level jobs.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to be a software engineer before I had my career path. I
didn't know that.
I was like really into it. Like I was like programming, and like I ended up doing a lot of programming. I messed around with Python quite a bit.
Nice.
So I was like, okay, well, I can't break into this because I ended up getting another role as a project manager, and that ended up me getting into a technical role. I ended up
so you know about all
about it. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I worked at Facebook as a technical project manager, and then I got a job at Apple as an engineering project manager.
Very nice.
Yeah. So and those jobs ended up being way easier than like I would have even expected. It's funny because I'm like I had a remote job working at Apple, and Apple I don't work for anymore, but I was probably putting in like 2 to 3 hours a week. I was like, what? Y'all really pay me this money to take notes on a meeting? Like, it was crazy. Project management is a really big one for people that want to break into the technical industry.
Yeah.
It's not technical. You need to be able to speak the lingo and understand a little bit about what you're talking about as far as context. But the project manager role is really about, organization, good communicating, being an effective organizer, taking notes in meetings, understanding action items, holding people accountable, and planning a project, understanding some project management basics. But it's not something you necessarily need to go to college for, and there's huge career potential as far as growth. My managers were making probably $300K plus. My role at Apple, I was making like $150K. Facebook, same thing. And again, not very technical roles. So there are a lot of opportunities. My wife, she went to one of these coding boot camps. Are you familiar with these guys? Coding boot camps?
Yeah.
They're all over the place. They used to be more effective than they are now, because the coding boot camp model basically floods the industry with a lot of low-skilled applicants, to where it's like, okay, I graduated this boot camp, but I have no practical experience.
I kind of sense that with on the coding side and the programming side, it seems like there's a lot of that going on with these boot camps.
Yes.
I see people that come out and they just feel like they didn't get the experience. They don't have really the aptitude, and that's why I really focus on hands-on experience.
Yes, that's
everything.
a big one. Yeah, that's the biggest thing, because you come out of it and now you're going to apply for jobs, but jobs, you really need some kind of hands-on experience. You need some kind of practical experience. Like, who's going to hire you for a 6-figure role without any kind of experience? Yeah. So a big part of it becomes faking it until you make it. How can you describe the small projects that you worked on, either for yourself or your friends or something, but how can you describe those projects in a way that actually have application towards what you're trying to achieve, which is, working at a big tech company. Yeah. So that's a big one. My wife, she went to this boot camp. I think it was 6 or 8 weeks. It cost like $30,000. Oh, wow. Something like that. Yeah. We put it on a credit card basically, or like we took a loan out for it. Mm-hmm. When she came out, she was like, I'm not ready for a job. I don't have the skills that I need. And she went out and like hustled. Like, she like had a lot of more skills to acquire, worked basically for free for a while, got some experience. She eventually got her foot in the door at her first job. And then it just grew from there. Now she works at a Fortune 500 company, making really decent salary, with plenty of upward mobility.
Yeah.
Well, nowadays we have to worry about AI taking all of our jobs.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, who knows how that's going to end up? Who knows how that's going to end up?
What does your wife do?
Software engineer. She's a full stack engineer.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
So, full stack engineer, just like last week, her company started implementing GitHub Copilot.
Okay.
So Copilot, basically, it helps you to write code, right? You say, write a function that takes in this input and provides this output with these particular parameters, and it writes you a function. And it's like, and then you can kind of copy that into your code. And that's where it's at today. But imagine 15 years from now or 5 years from now, like how much more, like there's a group of advanced AI engineers working on that project to make it a lot more efficient. And now you have AI building AI products too. Mm-hmm. So it's just going to feed into this thing. So is it going to replace software engineers? Maybe, at least to some degree. What might be more practical is like it's going to make your current engineers more productive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
That, I feel like that's what AI does for everybody in all industries. Like it's, I think the key to it really for most people is to stay in control or stay in a position where you are the one controlling the AI. That's kind of simple. If you see that the industry is advancing in this way, stay on top of these things. Like, for prime example, Copilot. It's like, that's something you probably want to learn. If your company is like starting to use it, you don't want to be left behind, and you want to be the person that's in that seat. But for it replacing us completely, I'm kind of leaning on the side of it's not there yet.
Not there yet, but you look at like there's enough incentive. I mean, software engineers are paid really, really well. And it can be a bottleneck of growth to a company.
Yes.
So there's a lot of financial incentive to, decrease the amount of labor that it takes to produce a product. Yeah. And you look at what happened with fast food, right? In California, the minimum fast food wage raised to $20 an hour.
Yeah, everybody's...
First day, they're like, yay, $20 an hour. Oh, sorry, we actually don't need your services anymore. You've been let go.
I went to Disneyland, and when we were on our way back, I went into McDonald's, and I was like, where's all the people at?
I know.
The order machine. And
all these order machines.
I was like, okay.
Hey, and they don't give you attitude.
Hey, yo, we were in...
we
showed up. I did like I started using it, and I was kind of like, oh damn, we got to pick like how much lettuce it wants and this. But I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. I was like, shit, I get to get all granular with my burger and shit.
Yeah,
like, shit.
So yeah, they're like, oh yeah, $20 an hour, but like you just like cut the entire workforce. Like no company's gonna pay for that. Like why would they when they can have a machine that doesn't take sick days, doesn't take vacation days, doesn't have any HR issues, no sexual harassment.
If you're a small business owner, I gotta say you resonate with a lot of that stuff. You know what? There's a lot.
I'm a small business owner too. I actually have a pressure washing company, and I love my employees, but if a Tesla bot comes out, if my employees are watching this, like I love you guys, I'm gonna find something to do for you guys, I promise. But the Tesla bot,
don't worry, guys. You guys will work on the Tesla bots that he buys.
Maybe like hold on, like literally on. You can hold on to his back or something while he climbs up ladders and does crazy stuff. But no workers' comp. But okay, that's where it's at today. It may not be feasible today, but you have to like think about where it's going. And where it's going, like there's so much incentive for these technologies to improve, to replace humans in certain roles.
Yes.
And, you just think about the possibilities and how far we've come in the past 12 months, right? And then you start extrapolating that out. And then you have AI working on AI, and then it's just, productivity becomes exponential. It's crazy to think, and who knows where it's going to be, but I think you have to focus on skill development.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be some new kind of technology that is going to need some people to work them. There's going to be people that need to manage the AI. Just like you're not going to... there's going to be some fast food employees, but the amount of employees are going to be reduced for sure. So it's kind of
And
interesting to see
it's
where it's gonna
touching
go.
all different types of industries. It's
Yeah.
not even just tech, as you mentioned, like fast food. There's brick and mortar businesses
Yeah.
using it, little chat bots for customer service.
Yeah.
It really is permeating to a lot of other industries. But I still believe that there's this specialty niche of workers that's going to be needed for all these industries
Yeah.
to interface the experience that that particular industry offers, and how does that get integrated with the AI that's then being implemented? Because still, you know, the human mind is very complex, and how we interact with other humans. And I believe customer service is one of the biggest like growth factors, and a lot of small businesses end up getting hindered on as they scale up is, you know, is your level of customer service still staying at a rate that is acceptable for you and your customers and
Yeah.
for your business to grow? And I think that's a lot of where the where people should focus on that are in
Yeah.
those other roles to stay relevant.
It's
Is-
funny because, you know, rewind, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years, like customer service was like the low paying jobs. But in the future, it may be that customer service is the only job left, you know? But at the same time, some experiences are going to be enhanced by removing a human, and some experiences are going to be
Yes.
hindered by removing. Like maybe
Yeah.
if I want to go into Louis Vuitton, maybe I want a nice person to physically like walk into these different products. But maybe if I like,
special touches.
you think about the way like, you know, Amazon changed the shopping. So in that sense, in some situations, I don't want to interact with a human. I just need my batteries or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't want, what kind of battery? No, just give my freaking batteries. Let me pay and get out of the store, you know? But other times you want an experience.
Right.
Yeah. I still think that there's, today, right? Like I write ad copy for Facebook ads.
Nice.
My ad copy beats ChatGPT 10 times out of 10. 10 times out of 10, ChatGPT ain't got nothing on me.
Yeah.
Right? Because I mess around with it. I put like, okay, you know, make me an ad, and I put the right parameters, and it's never there. It's never on point. I
Yeah.
always have to go back and modify it.
Yeah,
You know?
I've messed with it too, and some of my team members as well. Having a good copywriter that can really feel like make the connection with the brand, and
Yeah.
and connect with emotion, and say just certain trigger. The AI just isn't there yet.
Yeah, it's not there yet, right? Now the question is, will it ever become there? That's the interesting factor. We got to figure out what's going to come next. Yeah, we're almost out of time. What's a message that you'd like to get out there to people that are looking to improve themselves, improve their lives?
Yeah, personal development is, I believe, it's one of the key things that a lot of people need. Every man, I feel like, regardless of where you're at in your life, what you've achieved, if you can focus on personal development and developing yourself, and finding a way to get around people that are doing the things that you want to do, ultimately, that'll speed that up significantly. I've learned that from one of my coaches and mentors. It's like, you know, the fastest way to success is through personal development.
Yeah.
And then the quicker way, though, is proximity, just getting around people, because you're going to absorb it so much faster. Spending times in rooms with people, being on, even if it's on calls or remotely, but being able to interact, spend time with personal development.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Dexter, thank you very much. It's been an amazing podcast. Great show. A lot of great
Thanks for having me.
information. Absolutely. You're welcome. And hey, guys, if you haven't already, take a moment to subscribe to this channel. This is the A-List show. We're going to be bringing on all kinds of amazing guests, fantastic speakers. And if you're not subscribed, you're going to miss out. Thank you so much for making it this far. Thank you for being a part of the show. And we'll see you on the next one.